Okay, so I'm on leg 2 now, on day 2. It's about 20 past 5-ish here in France, and I've just left my friend's Gîtes, and the weather's pretty horrible. I'm heading up to Calais. It's very, very windy, and there's rain squalls, so it's not going to be the best drive. And I'm heading into darkness, so there won't be an awful lot to report, but I'll see if there's anything to talk about. Get past all these trucks and see where I'm going, and I'll catch up in a bit. Okay. Well, it's been a bit of a non-event, the drive up through France, apart from this dreadful weather, which luckily it hasn't been like this all the way, but for a few hundred miles of the journey it's been pretty horrendous. Now I've got basically sideways hailstones hitting the car, so yeah, luckily I'm only about 20 minutes from Calais or so now. It won't be long. So I'll get on the ferry and we'll check in now. Okay, so it's about 1:25 in the morning and I'm at Calais now in the lane. There's a bit of a wait to the next crossing, but that's fine. Gives me a chance just to chill for a bit, because I've been driving for about 8 hours now, literally just over 8 hours, and with some stats if you're interested in that. So since leaving home in Spain to here, it's 1,391 miles, and the speeds dropped down now because quite a lot of the French part of the journey is through roads where you know, I chose not to, for most of it, go on the toll road because you know, it can be quite expensive on the part up from the Dordogne area, which takes you on the autoroute up through Paris. So I only did the toll road on the last bit up from a place called Rouen, which was at €8. So it would have been a bit quicker going the other way, but the tolls would have been probably 40 odd euros. So you've got to weigh that up, whether you need that time to actually make up somewhere on a journey, if you need to be somewhere at a specific time. You can probably hear the rain chucking it down here. It's absolutely atrocious weather. It's about 3 degrees. And the fuel's averaged down now to about 27.3. But to be fair, that's not bad, because there's quite a few hilly sections, and as you know, when you start going up and down hills, it kicks the backside out of your fuel consumption. That went down to 27 at one point. So over the nearly 1,400 miles, it's done 27.3. So pretty good. So I'm just going to chill for a bit now and wait for my ferry to be called, and yeah, and then set foot back on English soil. So catch you for the home leg of that journey down to Bournemouth. Okay. So the car's right at the front of the ferry now, so probably rusty by the time we get to England. And exposed. So at this point I would be getting off the ferry in the UK, and it would have been around 4 AM I think by the time I'd actually got off and disembarked, and I had to get some fuel and then travel down to Bournemouth from Dover, which was about, I think it's about 180 miles give or take. I didn't bother putting the camera on because again it was pitch black, and driving off into the darkness, not very exciting to watch on film. But one thing that did strike me was that within about 20-25 minutes of actually getting off the ferry, getting fueled up, and then getting on my way, on the M20, it was down to one lane, and then straight into a load of traffic, and it was all backed up and going slow, and then trying to fight across to get onto the M25 and along down to Bournemouth. So when I reached the Southampton area at the bottom of the M3, there was like 3 or 4 lanes coming up the Winchester area, solid traffic, all the headlights on. And it just struck me, that's so indicative of UK driving, unfortunately. There's so many people trying to get around in what's actually quite a small country, especially, in stark comparison to having just driven straight through Spain with no interruptions, no traffic or anything. So I didn't bother filming anymore in the UK because I went, I had some family time and I was running some errands and doing bits and pieces, so it wasn't really relevant to the journey. And so the next shot here is a clip of the ferry, which was quite a different experience on the way back. Actually, I took a route that I hadn't taken before. I went from Portsmouth and the ferry was at 11:30 at night. So again, I left Bournemouth at, I think, about 9:30, 9:45, something like that. So it would have been dark, driven across to Portsmouth, sorry. And it was, straight onto a ferry there where I had an overnight crossing, which was actually, quite a nice experience. I think I was on the boat for about 8 hours altogether. And then I've sort of picked up the story from there in France again on the way back down to Spain. So I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the journey. And sorry if it's a bit disjointed, maybe I should have done a bit more filming in the car to explain some stuff. I don't know, really. It's the first time I've kind of done this sort of thing. So anyway, let's crack on, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the journey. Okay, thanks for watching, by the way. Okay, so I've just come off an overnight ferry and I'm just making my way out of Le Havre in France. It's not a route I've done before, actually. I'll put some stuff together to explain why I chose this journey. Just got to decide which route to take as I come out. We've just got onto the motorway. So I probably have the most amazing hair. I've had a beanie on my head while I slept on one of the extended reclining seats on the ferry for the last 8 hours. It was a pretty decent crossing. The car's running really well, and give you a taste of daylight French driving, which I didn't have a chance to do on the journey up to the UK because that last part of the journey was in pretty grim weather and most of it was during the night. So I'll catch you in a bit and give you an update. This route I've chosen is a bit more scenic, so I'll flip the camera, and if you haven't driven through France before, I'll try and give you a little idea of what to expect on the roads, and let's see what the day brings. I'm hoping to be at my destination back in the Charente area with my friends at around 3 to 4 o'clock, so I'm in no rush before I head back to Spain, probably tomorrow. So I'll keep you updated and see how the journey goes. Okay, so I've been driving from the port of Le Havre, I don't know, for about 15-20 minutes, just made my way out of the town, which is just like any other ferry port, fairly industrial. And this is a little twist I wasn't expecting. I thought I was heading for a bridge, and I rocked up here, and there's a ferry, which is cool. So I just got off one ferry, and I'm about to get on another. This is because, being a bit of a tight ass, I prefer not to pay for the toll roads when I can, because it starts to add up. It can get a bit expensive. But yeah, this would be a bit of fun. So. This saves me a few bob on the tolls, adds a bit of time onto the actual journey, but it's all good fun. This looks quite sweet. It's a little town, the sat-nav is telling me it's called Quillebeuf-sur-Seine, which is the river that runs all the way down and through Paris and beyond. So yeah, have a little adventure this morning before I continue on my way, and it's very picturesque here. Very nice.
Continue straight onto Place du BAC, then turn left onto Quai Bernard Picot.
Yeah, I'll wait until I'm off the ferry, I think. That's the other great thing about touring on your own. You get to talk to yourself a lot.
Continue on D87 for 2 kilometers. Continue straight onto Place du BAC, then turn left onto Quai Bernard Picot.
There we go, another mini ferry adventure.
Head northwest. In 100 meters, continue straight onto GR Grande Rue. Continue straight onto GR Grande Rue, then turn right.
So there we go. So just to give you an idea of what your sort of typical little French hamlets are like, which there are many of on these non-motorway roads. These are typically your sort of older type A roads and definitely B roads.
Turn right onto Le Quai de Renard, D810.
And yeah, very picturesque, and it just
Continue on D810 for 1.5 kilometers.
I say she's very annoying sometimes. Yeah, it's just typical of, for example, where I've just been in the UK in Dorset. It's a bit like the Ringwood to Christchurch Road, you know, it's that kind of feel. So, very familiar terrain. Anyway, I'll catch up with you in a bit. The car's running very well. 22.5 mpgs at the mo, but that's with a few stops and starts and ticking over on the ferry, warming up because it was on the top deck for 8 hours in the cold, so I had the heated seats on and just had it ticking over and warming up. So anyway, let's catch up in a bit. So I just went through this lovely little village. It's the kind of place I'd want to stop for a cafe au lait and a croissant. And I just thought I'd show you this road because it's 10:15 here. It's Tuesday morning, and you know I'm not near anywhere specific. It's just a rural road. But I've been driving in a straight line now for about 5 or 6 miles, and as you can see, there's just nothing on the road, and that's indicative of many of these roads in France. And I know this is, we're not in Paris, it's rural France, but this is probably one of the most significant differences from Europe, to the UK. Just the fact that there's just nothing on the roads for most of the time. And the last week I was driving around in the UK, and it's just sheer weight of traffic everywhere you go, and it's just an incredible difference. So if you want to come and explore new horizons, have a bit of fun and just not feel the pressure and the burden of traffic, I really recommend you just jump on a ferry and just go and drive your car. It's a lot of fun. B&Bs, chambre de hôtes, and motels and hotels are pretty easy to come by, and just go and have some fun, really. Anyway, I'll check in with you in a bit. Okay, and as if to prove a point, I've just finished a 6 or 7 kilometre stretch where I saw a truck and a car, and this is another 8 kilometre stretch of road I'm on now according to my sat nav. So enjoy the peace. See you, chat.